Hey everybody, welcome to Mortgage Mastermind Group. We are having our Mastermind Strategy class. My name is Paul Baxter. For those of you who don't know me, it's good to see some of my old friends, but there are some that are new friends. And for those that don't know me, I'm Paul Baxter, and I'll be working with you moving forward. Guys, I have a great class today about the four common things that all top producers are doing, and literally all the top producers that I've ever spoken to over my lifetime, they're all doing these four common things. So this is the road to the big leagues. As you can tell, I'm quite the sports fan. I get this mental image when I think about growing your business, and it's like an athlete coming up or a baseball player coming up. You're the high school guy, but you're then being recruited and want to get into the minor leagues, and then you want to move up to the AAA, and then this is the top producers. They're like the big leaguers. They're the guys that are in the show, guys and girls that are in the show. And so that's what I kind of put here as my graphics. It's the road to the big leagues. That's what you want to be, is in the major leagues. You don't want to play around in the minor leagues anymore. You don't want to be on the AAA farm team. You want to be in the big leagues. And so what we're going to talk about today are the four common traits that all top producers have. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First common trait that all top producers are doing in their business or have is that they research their targets. Now, when I refer to a target, I'm talking about referral partners. I'm talking about clients. I'm talking about people that can help you grow your business, people that will do a loan or refer loans to you. Without exception, the top producing loan pros have researched their targets, their referral partners. They know that the people that they're looking at are doing business. You don't want to, there's nothing worse than marketing, developing a relationship, getting them to know, trust, and like you, and then when you go to ask for the business, they love you, they trust you enough to refer you business, yet they're not doing enough business or doing any business to be able to refer you. You take some of the top, all the people that teach loan officers or teach some sort of marketing to the business industry, Rick Ruby, Scott Foreman, Ryan Dice, they all start their teaching with this action step: targeting, researching your targets, figuring out who it is that you're going to spend your business time trying to work with. It's a huge part of the equation. Now, a couple of places that you can research your targets specifically for referral partners. Homes.com is a good one. LinkedIn is a fantastic list building platform. It's a great place. People are there to network business to business. It's not going to give you numbers. It's not going to let you know what their production actually is, but you can get a good idea based on how many people they're connected with, based on how many people have recommended them, based on their skills and how many people have endorsed their skills. You can get a good idea of who the producers are on LinkedIn, and it's a great place to grow your list. Facebook, obviously, another great place to network and grow your list. Again, not a great place to find out actual production numbers, but a good place to grow your list. Google.com, do a simple Google search. You notice I skipped the one on top, Realtrends.com. What Realtrends is you can actually go to Realtrends.com, and on the top there is a rankings button that you can select that will actually show you rankings, the best in America or in Canada too if you're a Canadian partner. You can search the top producers in Canada. Now keep in mind, this is going to, what RealTrends does is it's got qualifiers on who can actually make the list. In terms of transactions, I think the minimum qualifier is 50 to 100 sides. I think it might be 50 sides, which means 25 transactions. 50 sides. It's each side of they consider a side, a seller side or a buyer side of the transaction. The minimum qualifier to even make the list is 50. As far as volume, the minimum qualifier to make to make the list for volume is 20 million. So you're not going to get any people that are maybe people that I would want to target, people that are doing 10, 15, maybe 20 transactions a year, people that are maybe doing 10, $12 million a year. Those are people that I would still want to target. So Real Trends, you won't find them on the Real Trends, but it's a great place, a great starting point if you don't have anywhere else or you don't have a list yet. And then by far the strongest, oh, and my good friend Steve is saying NeighborCity.com is also another place, and thank you. That's what this group is all about, guys, is the masterminding, the exchanging of ideas. You are encouraged during these presentations to talk to me, communicate with me if you have other ideas or have experience with some of the things that we're talking about here. Thank you very much, Steve. So we'll add that one to the PowerPoint, NeighborCity.com. NeighborCity.com is another one that somebody is mentioning. Now, by far the most accurate, where you're going to get the most amount of information, is getting access to the MLS. You can access the MLS in a lot of different ways. You can partner, you can ask your favorite title rep. You can ask your favorite or your friend that is a real estate agent. You can go to a broker and say, hey, I'm looking to help all of your people. Can you help me get access? By far the best place to build your initial list or to research your targets is accessing the MLS. You're going to be able to see real-time information on what their actual production is. What we do is we actually we set a minimum standard. You can set a maximum standard as well. If you only want agents that are doing between 10 and, let's say, 25 transactions in a 12-month period, you can focus on that group. That way you know, what some people will like to do is take out that top 10%, those people that are in that 50 to 100 transactions rate, because those are going to be more difficult to get in front of and get some of your business time with. You can spend a lot of time marketing to them with very little return. The people that we have found that are absolute perfect targets are in that, 12, 15 a year range that want to get to the next level. They know what it's like to do a big amount of business, but they want to get to that next level. So with the MLS, you can actually do you can get very detailed in your researching of your targets. But no matter which one you use, the common trait, the thing that you need to do is make sure that you're spending your marketing dollars, you're spending your business time wisely and marketing to people that actually have the ability to do business with you. You want to start with 50 to 100 specific researched targets. It doesn't matter what number. Everybody wants a number on something, so that's where I came up with 50 to 100. That number does not matter. You can start with 20 people. You can start with 60 people. It doesn't matter what you start. You just need a group of people that you can start focusing your marketing efforts on. Now, I say 50 to 100 because reality is I'm not going to call 50 people in a day. I'm not going to call 100 people in a day. But I can market to those targets in a way with some of the, and we'll go through your follow-up plans here very shortly. But you can market to those targets in a way where you're focused on a specific group. Let's say one of that specific group that I'm focused on tells me, don't call me anymore, I don't want to hear from you. More than fine with that. I don't want to work with any people who are jerks. I don't want to work with people who are not cool. And so they come right off the list, but I've got 100 researched targets. I just take one from the pot that I've been sending an email or a video to on a regular basis, consistent basis, and I plug them into my target group or my focus group. And now it's just par for the course. It's a research target, somebody that I already know has the ability business-wise if I can develop a no trust and like relationship. The next step, and this is a fairly easy thing to do, especially for those of you that have an assistant or have a team that works with you, add 2 new research targets every day of the week. If you did that in a 50-week year, now that gives you 2 weeks vacation time or 2 weeks off of not having to research any targets. But do the math on it. If you add 2 new targets every day of the 5-day work week, other than two weeks out of the year, that's 10 a week, that's 50 weeks, that's 500 researched, highly researched targets that you're adding to the list. Let's just say that everything goes poorly and nothing is great with it. For whatever reason, 75% of those people that you add go ahead and opt out of your list. Of all that research you did, 75% of them opted out. Now, again, we're going to talk about consistency and follow-up shortly here, but if 75% opted out, that still leaves you with 132 people that are absolutely raving fans, that love you, that are getting some sort of value, and that's a key element, is getting value out of what you're sending them. That's a big part of the equation. People won't opt out if they feel like they're either A, being entertained, that's the number one thing, and they're getting value out of what you're, entertained, educated, and get value. That will keep people from opting in. So if you're sending on a regular basis, and we'll talk about that just shortly here, what you're sending, how frequently you're sending it, if you're consistent with your message, and only 75% or lo and behold, something happens that 75% of people opt out, you still have 132 targets that are researched targets that are enjoying or being entertained or getting value out of what you're sending. Huge, huge thing. And guys, I highly encourage, you figure the math on this. If you do 2 research targets 5 days a week, let's say it takes you, for some ungodly reason, it takes you 20 minutes to add those 2 people per day, 20 minutes to add those 2 people a day. Let's figure that out. That's 3 days gives you an hour. So an hour and 40 minutes a week is what you spend on growing your database with targeted, truly researched and targeted prospects to end up with 132 people at the worst case scenario. At the worst case scenario, 132 people that know, trust, and like you and are getting your message. Now you're growing your database. Really good idea to target those research those targets. The second common trait that all top producers, and I mean all top producers, and I will tell you this is something huge that every one of us should be thinking about, is tracking the targets. It is absolutely essential to track the progress of your targets. All the top producers I know track their A agents. I call them the MVPs. The B agents, that's the farm team. The C agents, those are the recruits. Again, it kind of goes back to that graphic on the very front cover of today's class, is getting to the big leagues. I kind of put it in sports terms. You got your MVPs, your most valuable players, your all-stars, so to speak. Your B agents are your farm team. You're trying to move them up to be all-stars. Your C agents are recruits. Those are people that they're on your target list, but they have yet to meet with you or do a deal with you of any sort. For me, A agents are people that I'm doing regular business with. They're consistent and they're loyal. I'm doing at least, on an A agent, I'm doing at least 1 transaction every month with that person. A B agent is somebody that I'd like to move into my A agents. But a B agent is somebody that I'm not consistently doing business with. It's somebody that I'm doing business with, but not on such a consistent basis. I'd like to move them into consistency. A C agent is somebody that they are definitely a target because my research shows me that that's somebody I want to align my business with, but we have yet to do any transactions together. They are a target. I haven't moved them into doing business with them yet. Now, if you've got people that you consider to be D agents, people that are, well, they're not real targets, they're not doing enough. If they're going to a D list, to me, a D list means delete them. You don't need to be wasting or spending your business time, your work time, with people who you would consider to be not a recruit, not on the farm team, and not an all-star or not a true partner. So I would highly recommend, if you've got D agents or people that you consider to be on that D list, just get rid of them. Now, the big part is you have to track them. If you don't have a CRM of your own that will do this for you, that you can plug into a CRM system, go ahead and make your own tracking sheet. Making a tracking sheet is super easy. You can do that with Excel if you've got a Windows-based computer. If you don't want to use Excel, you can do it in Google Drive. They have a spreadsheet builder, super easy to use. Some of the basic things, when you're setting up your tracking sheet, you want to think through it. What all information do you want to have? You obviously want to have their first and last name, company name, contact info, email address, phone number, work number, all of the, their personal email address and their company email address. I want to, on my contact info, I want to leave enough room. I want to create enough fields in my tracking sheet that I can incorporate all of their contact information. I want to put a field in there. Did I call them? Have I had a face-to-face or belly-to-belly meeting with them yet? Have I gotten any referrals or leads from them? Have any of those referrals or leads turned into closing? That's an important one to track, guys, especially when you're talking about your B agents, your agents that you're trying to move up into your all-stars. If you look and you see that you've gotten 10 referrals, but there's only been 1 closing, or you've gotten 8 referrals and 0 closings, you may want to have a conversation with that agent about, hey, are you only sending me the bad stuff? How about we work on 1 or 2 of the easy deals so I can show you how quick and fast or how great I am at the communication. It's a good indicator as to whether or not you've got a true A agent or a B agent there. I am a huge, huge notes fan. I like to take notes, especially when we're talking about tracking our referral partners and our targets. When I meet with somebody face-to-face and I have the Ford conversation, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, when I have that Ford conversation with people, I want to know if they told me that Bobby likes to play baseball and that Susie is a great slalom skier. I want to keep notes on that, so when I do my follow-up plan, I can bring those notes back out. I can bring those things up and I can communicate with them on their level and bond with them with commonality. Hey, Chris, did Bobby get a chance? Did you guys have a Little League game this weekend, or was it more of a fun time on the lake watching Susie water ski? I can ask these things if I've kept good notes. 90-day follow-up or 60-day follow-up or 30-day follow-up, whatever your plan for follow-up is, and we're going to cover that shortly here, but whatever your plan for follow-up is, include that in your tracking so that you know what part of the process you're in with each one of your highly tracked targets. Now that leads us to that next part, the third common trait that all top producing loan professionals have if they have a follow-up plan in place. It's a plan of action, steps given, top to bottom, no ifs, ands, or buts. It is a true and defined follow-up plan. They all have, the top producers all have a plan in place for how they are going to stay in contact with their prospects. Video marketing. We'll go deep into that very shortly here. Weekly calls. Are you picking up the phone and calling them on a regular basis? Doing live presentations. It's really cool to bring in agents to, a Tony Robbins presentation, or bring in agents to listen to Michael Mayer speak about the 7 levels of communications. The agents love that. But they see Tony Robbins as the expert. They see Michael Mayer as the expert. Yes, you're the cool guy that brought it there to their attention and brought them to that presentation, but the presenter is always the expert. And what's really cool and what's interesting about live presentations is you can, because you're presenting, whether you know more about the subject or not than the people who are there, because you are presenting, you're being seen as the experts. Human nature, when we were in school, any place that we go to a presentation of some sort, we perceive the person who is delivering that message as an expert in what they're delivering a message is. And the world that we live in, perception is reality. And so allow people to perceive you as an expert. I can't tell you how important or what an amazing strategy live presentations actually is. It can help you get in front of a group of people, a group of real estate agents, and allow them to look at you as an expert. Be the expert. Be that go-to person. You know, it's always been said that everybody likes to give the teacher an apple. Well, be the teacher, and the apple that they're giving is referrals. Live presentations is a huge one. Coffee meets. That's one of my particular favorites because of the ease in which it's so easy to get people to agree to a coffee meeting. Now, here's a little free coaching for you on the side. If you're going to do coffee meetings, every chance you get, try and do those coffee meetings at their office, at the agent's office. And I'll tell you exactly why. Typically, we like to confirm our appointments. If you're meeting with an agent at their office, what you have the opportunity to do on your confirmation is you don't call 2 hours before, you don't call an hour before. You wait till about 30 to 45 minutes prior to when you're supposed to be meeting them for coffee at their office, and you call them up and you say, hey, Chris, it's Paul over at Mortgage Mastermind Group. I was calling. Do you like regular decaf? I'm over at the Starbucks right now, and I was wondering, do you like regular decaf, or are you one of those mocha kind of guys? What's your poison from Starbucks? I'm stopping there to grab it now. What you're doing is, because it's within that hour, and what you're asking them is a this or that, an if then. It's you know, would you like this or would you like that? You're not confirming your appointment. You're asking, would you like this or would you like that? Because it's within that hour, they're going to simply tell you what their preference is in terms of what your if or, you know, this or that question is. If you call them 2 hours prior, it leaves them wiggle room to be, oh, I was just getting ready to call you, Paul. Something popped up, and I'm not going to be able to make that appointment. Oh, I was just getting ready to call you to let you know I've got a showing, and I'm not going to be able to be there. Maybe we can set this up for later on. If you call to confirm a couple hours before, that's likely to happen. It's not maybe going to it's more likely. But if you wait till 30, 45 minutes beforehand and you call them up and, hey, would you like regular decaf or are you a mocha guy? You're asking them a this or that question, and you're doing it during a time that people, you know, human beings, we don't like for people to be upset with us, and if we cancel in between that time, there's just that weird feeling. People just won't cancel in between that time. That 30, 45 minutes is not enough wiggle room, especially if you let them know you're standing in the line, you've got money, and you're about to spend money on them. They won't cancel that meeting. So it's a really cool idea if you can get that coffee meeting in their office, and then 30, 40 minutes beforehand when you're in line at Starbucks, ask them, would you like this or that to get that meeting? Great idea to do. Lunch or dinner, God, that's a no-brainer. Everybody loves to have lunch or dinner. That's a great opportunity to really go deep in your bonding. You know, many cultures around the entire world, sharing a meal is the ultimate form of respect. It's that deep interaction that people they love to do. Sharing a meal is a huge thing, and it gives you a lot of opportunity. You can really get to know somebody. So absolutely take that opportunity. You know, what I like to kind of do is maybe start off with a coffee meet, and you know, get to know them that way, and then follow up with them a couple of weeks and continue that bonding, continue that consistent communication, and then try to have a meal with them after you've built a little bit of a relationship. It's not as easy to get those lunch or dinner appointments, but when you do, your appointments go much deeper because you're sharing a full meal. Golf outings. I know a lender that has become his bread and butter, his go-to strategy in terms of communication, and he will invite people he's never met with to play golf with them. Hey, I've got a round. I'd love to meet you for, take you up to this country club or whatever. He's a member of a very nice country club in his area. And he'll do research. He spends his time, it goes back to researching your targets. He spends time to go on to LinkedIn or go on to Facebook and find out, does this particular prospect like golf? And if they do, boom, that's his in. And he'll take them out to play golf. He does a ton of business on the golf course. And it's fun. That's his fun thing to do. Fishing trips. Guys, how easy would it be to invite somebody out on a charter fishing? Here's the cool thing about golf and fishing trips. You've got a captive audience for, what's golf, a 3.5-hour round? If you've got a 3 or a foursome. If you've got a couple of people on a charter trips are usually 3 or 4 hours for the half-day deal. You've got a captive audience. It's a great opportunity to bond and really develop that relationship, because that's what you're trying to do with all of your follow-up plan, is develop more of a relationship, be seen as that go-to person, and go deeper into the relationship, because that's where business comes from, is relationships. And the key to all these things, whether it's a weekly video, whether it's a coffee meet, whether it's a golf outing, whether it's a phone call a couple of times or once a week, any of it, all of them, you have to ask for the business. Now, your follow-up plan should include action steps for all of your different groups, for your MVPs, your A agents. It should include action steps for your B agents, your farm team. It should include a specific follow-up plan for your recruits. My A agents, for example, get a call every Monday to bond and build relationships and ask for the business. That's where my notes come in handy with my A agents. I have to know where my relationship is with these folks, so I know exactly how to communicate with them all the time, consistently. So for my follow-up plan for my A agents, they get a call every Monday to bond and build the relationship and for me to ask for the business. My B and C agents get a call on Tuesday. And that Tuesday is to try and go deeper, to set up those coffee meets, to set up a golf outing, to set up buying them lunch. I call the C agents to bring them into a class where I'm presenting. But there's a follow-up plan that is specific to the A group and specific to the B. There's a follow-up plan specific to the B group. There's a follow-up plan specific to the recruits, the C group, specific to each one of those groups. The next common trait, and I said third before, but this is the third common trait, is consistency. This is a big one, and quite honestly, this is probably the hardest one of the 4 traits. This is probably the most difficult to master. And I say that because being consistent in our business requires a little thing I like to call time blocking. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in this presentation. We're not going to go deep into it today, but it is by design a simple plan, but it is one of the more difficult things to implement. But consistency is one of the catalysts. It's one of those, it's one of the top 4 traits, or one of the common traits. It is ultra important. The top producing loan pros are top producers because they are consistent with their research for their targets. They're doing 2 a day every day for X number of time. Maybe not 2 a day, or maybe they have somebody else doing it, but I can guarantee you that they're not targeting anybody that they haven't researched. They're consistently track every single communication, and whether or not you showed up for a meeting, what the lead did. They're tracking every bit of what's going on with their researched targets. The follow-up plan allows them to communicate with their targets consistently. Okay? Consistency is a huge part of the process. What does consistency actually look like? Okay, so some top producers, they do a video every single week to keep their faces, not just their name, in front of their targets. That's a big one, and I know a lot of us on this call, we think about email marketing in our own way. And I was on a call just the other day with Ryan Dice of The Machine fame. And what The Machine is, if you have not heard about it, it's all about email marketing, email campaigns. And Ryan did a ton of research and trial and error. He is known as the email guy. Trial and error, and found that people will opt out of an email campaign that is delivered once a month 70% more frequently than people that get a once a week email campaign. People will opt out if you send them something once a month. They are more likely to opt out on your once a month email than they are on a once a week email. They've forgotten you. Again, it boils down to providing them with value, providing them with cool stuff, educate them, entertain them, provide them with value. Above and beyond that, they discovered that a twice-a-week email campaign is opted out of less than a once-a-week email campaign. And conversely, what they discovered is that when you throw the third email in 3 times a week, now your ratio starts to grow again. People get annoyed. People are going to opt out with 3 a week. But 2 a week had the lowest opt-out rate than once a week, twice a month, once a month. The lowest opt-out rate came with 2 emails a week. So when we think about consistency, they do a video every week to keep their face, not just name, in front of their targets. That video is on top of their other follow-up plan where they're picking up the phone and calling them, where they're going to meet with them, where they're doing live presentations and inviting to that. Guys, that video, that staying consistent with that, it's okay to communicate with your people more than once a week. But you have to do whatever you choose, whether it be a regular email campaign or a weekly video tip campaign. You have to choose to do whichever you choose. You have to do it consistently. They time block to make sure that come hell or high water, the Monday and Tuesday calls are made. That is the single most high dollar activity. That is the single most important aspect to the entire thing, is the time block. Look, if you want to be able to do research and find new targets, you've got to block that time out of your week to make sure, or of your day, to make sure that it actually happens. If you want to make sure that you're doing a live presentation once or twice, so you've got to block that time to make sure that you can make that happen. If you're going to make phone calls to real estate agents or your researched targets, you've got to block that time out to make it happen. You've got to block out that hour every Thursday afternoon from 4 to 5 o'clock, because that's when you're going to make your video every week. You have to block that time out or it'll never happen. Good intentions are only as good as the intention themselves. You have to, if you want to implement, you have to make yourself implement. You take a guy, when we woke up this morning, we were all given 24 hours. You take a guy like Donald Trump. He was given the same 24 hours as you and I. What makes him successful and makes him the most successful real estate person, or in real estate, what makes him successful is that he knows how to block his time effectively to get all the things done that he wants to get done. It's about time blocking, guys, and I can tell. We'll cover that much deeper on later classes, and really go deep into what time blocking looks like, how it works, and how to set up, how to be effective with it. But I will tell you guys, that's the thing that will allow you to be consistent, is good time blocking. And they are consistent in the fact that they always ask for the business. How many of us remember the Glengarry? That's the vision I get in my head of when I say they always ask for the business, is Alec Baldwin on Glengarry Glen Ross saying, always be closing, ABC, always be closing, ABC, always be closing. will always be asking for the business. It's that simple. And that's the last common trait. The fourth common trait is that they ask for the business. The top producers are not shy about that. I'm going to tell you right now, they are not, oh, I feel bad when I ask for the business. I always feel a little weird when I ask. No, they are not shy about asking for the business. They do it consistently every single time. Every communication, whether it be a phone call, seeing them at an event, shaking hands at a happy hour, at the end of your lunch, at the end of your coffee, every communication is an opportunity to ask for the business. On a status update, there's an opportunity there to ask for the business. They know that no only means not right now. They know that no only means not right now. Now, I've shown this graphic. Some of you maybe have seen this floating around in other places, but this is what I mean that they know no only means not right now. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. So they get a prospect, and if they don't say yes on that original communication, they don't follow up at all. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. 12% of salespeople make 3 contacts and stop. Here's a big one, guys. Find out what group you are in. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. Now, here's the converse side of that. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. Only 2%. That means 98% of the market is still out after that initial contact, and 50% of people, 48% of people give up on them. 3% of sales are made on the second contact. So those 25% that actually make a second contact, only 3% of the time are they actually getting a deal out of that second contact. 12% of sales, 5% of sales are made on the third contact. So at this point, 88% of the salespeople are gone, and only 5% of the sales have actually happened. That means 95% of the market is still out there, but there's only 10%. Remember right here, 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. 95% of the business is still out there, but only 10% of the salespeople are still pursuing that business. 10% of sales are made on the fourth contact. Okay? 10%. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to the 12th contact. So in essence, that when they talk about, well, only 10% of the real estate agents are producers, only 10% of the loan officers are producers, high producers. That's a true statement. And that goes for any sales field, and we are salespeople because that's what we do, is we sell ourselves to referral partners. We sell ourselves to our clients. We're selling ourselves, so we are in sales. And when we talk about referral partnerships, we're talking about selling ourselves to a partner. Only 10% are doing the vast majority of the business. What percent are you in? Are you in the 10%? Are you in that 90% that give up because they said no, or that they didn't want to meet with you today? That's a big part of your follow-up plan, by the way, or your consistency. And I put it in the ask for the business, because that's really what it's about, is asking for the business. If they say no 3 times, that's because we haven't developed enough of a relationship yet. They don't know, trust, and like us yet or not. But if we give up, then we'll never get to that 5th or 12th contact where they do say yes, and they do work with us, and they do give us leads and referrals. So asking for the business, if you're going to do it more frequently, you need to find ways to ask for business that's different. Hey, who can I help get an approval letter for? There's a different way than saying, hey, do you have anybody that needs mortgage? Who can I help you get an approval letter for? Dean Jackson of By Referral Only fame, very well known in the real estate business, a very well-known real estate agent. One of his presentations I saw recently, he says that referrals are either passive, reactive, or orchestrated. An example of a passive lead would be kind of like, hey, if you run into anybody that needs an approval letter, have them give me a call. That's kind of asking passively for a referral. Reactive would be like I've got above. Who can I help you get an approval letter for? Hey, do you know anybody that needs an approval letter? And they react to the question. Oh, yeah, you may want to give Susie over there a call. She may need one. And then the ultimate is orchestrated. So if you can learn how to orchestrate asking for and getting leads, you will up your production. I promise you, if you can learn effectively how to orchestrate how you ask for leads or create orchestrated leads, it's much better. Instead of who can I help you get an approval letter for, it would be more, orchestrating a lead would be more, who do you know that needs an approval letter? It's more of a direct question. It's now challenging them in their own mind. They're now challenged to come up with a name, as opposed to who can did you meet anybody, or who can I help? Who do you know that needs an approval letter? Just a slight variation in the way that you ask for leads can orchestrate and get those people actually working for you and helping you generate those leads. So those are the 4 common traits. They researched and found their targets. They focused on whatever number. You guys choose your number. I'm not going to tell you that there is a magic number out there. I know some people in this industry think that there is some sort of magic number, that if you called this, there's no magic number. But you want to have enough targets that you're effectively meeting with people. So they research and find their targets. Start with 50 to 100, and then add 2 a day, every day. By the end of a year, you'll have 500 people. And again, whether or not 75% or 80% opt out, you've got 100, 130 people on your list that are enjoying, that are raving fans. Put your targets on your tracking sheet and use it. A big part of staying consistent and being able to communicate with people, moving forward all the time, constantly, is having that tracking sheet. And I'll tell you guys, I get it asked all the time, oh, can we use it? Do you have a sample of one? Sure I do, but I'm not going to give it to you, because if I provided it to you, you download it on your computer, and because it's not yours, it makes sense to me, not make sense to you, you'd never use it. So get a tracking sheet and absolutely, absolutely use it. Then follow up with them like crazy. Implement a follow-up plan that allows you to be consistent and stay in touch with people on a consistent basis. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Send them a weekly video, and then pick up the phone and call them and meet with them multiple times. Stay consistent and follow up with them like crazy. And then you absolutely, absolutely have to ask for the business, because I'm going to tell you, if you do all the other things, if you target you research your targets and you put them on a tracking sheet and you follow up like crazy, and you meet with them and you have lunch with them and they come to your presentations, but you never ask for their business, you're never going to get their business. You'll never develop that true partnership relationship. So get out there, guys. Go wrestle. Go find your big fish and jump on them and tackle them and wrestle them down. Find your big fish and make them yours. That's all we've got for today, guys. I appreciate you hanging out with me and spending a little bit of time here. Look for more classes. We're going to be focusing on each one of the elements that we covered today. and taking our time as we go through. We're going to be going through full and complete follow-up plans. We're going to talk about tracking and exactly how to make that happen in your business and spend time on that. We're going to talk about consistency. We're going to talk about scripting and how you stay consistent with making video. We're going to talk about all the pieces to the puzzle. I look forward to working with you guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Appreciate you hanging out with me, and we'll see you right back here on the flip side. And guys, don't remember, we are a Mortgage Mastermind group, and we are here to help you grow.